Hi YouTube! So I know it's been a while, but I wanted to come on today and I guess just kind of talk about some things that I've been experiencing since I started my loc.
All you wanna do is gas me. How we end up in the backseat, just trying to get to the bag. We on the same page, you the same way. Only keep the fam around.
So if you don't know, I've been locked for 3 years. So we are working on the 4th. And in this time, I've learned a few things. One thing I wasn't really aware of is that locks still shrink. And I knew that they would a little bit, but I was surprised to see how much shrinkage can be associated with locks. So my locks finally dropped, and it didn't happen for me until around 2.5 years. So before that, I would say my hair was steadily growing, but it didn't look like it was. So if you pulled it, you would see a lot of stretch, but just looking at it, it really looked like it was stagnant for the longest. And then one day they just dropped. It's like they got heavier and the length started to show. So I'll say that I started seeing length almost 3 years in, and ever since you really couldn't tell me nothing. Be prepared the longer you stay on your loc journey to get a lot of random compliments and random questions. Y'all know how we have that thing where we see each other and we kind of feel like we know each other? That happens a lot when you're locked, and especially if you're running into someone who's thinking of starting locs. So I've had a lot of people ask me how I started, how long I've been locked, to explain the journey, how I get through certain stages. People are just curious. And I'm always up for a conversation about it, but if you're a little more standoffish, just know most people are well-intentioned, but that's definitely something that people do the longer your locks get. So when I first started my locks, I was comb coiling. Then I switched into interlocking to maintain them, and I was using a 4-point rotation. Well, I've realized that the 4-point rotation was a little bit much for where my hair is finer. I would say I'm a 4C girly, so my fine 4C hair just wasn't reacting well to a 4-point rotation. It was too tight, too restricting. And you can even see in some of my locks where I was doing the 4-point rotation where they're a little bit lumpier, and it's just because my hair wasn't able to, I guess, expand as much from when I did those reties. So since then, I've switched to a 3-point rotation. And while the 3-point rotation does show a frizzier loc, I do like that my locks have been able to expand more, and you can't necessarily tell by looking at the loc when I retighten the loc the same way that you could with the 4-point rotation. So one thing that I did not expect, y'all know how every time we change our hair, the type of men we attract change? That's definitely true since I got started my locks. I have to say, since starting locks, I've attracted more of my type, I guess. I don't know what the girls are calling them these days, but you know, the more affluent, the generous, the gentleman, that's my type. And I'll say even when my locks were really short, I definitely did notice that I attracted a lot more of them, including my beau now. But I will note that when my locks were short, I also attracted a group that I had never really attracted before. You know, the far less affluent, a little less generous, less my type. So I did get a lot of those when my locks were shorter. I don't really get that these days, but that's definitely something that I think we all kind of experience as we change our hair. The type of men we attract changes, and for me, it was all for the better. So sorry about that, you guys. My camera cut out, but I was actually getting around to the last point that I wanted to make, which is that being locked for 3 years has just shown me how confident I really am. The entire journey, I felt like I've just had fun. I'm a strong believer in there is no ugly stage, and I love that I can look at old pictures and memories, and I can honestly say I felt like my most natural self, my most beautiful self, the entire journey. So if you're thinking about getting locks, I would definitely recommend. If you've already started locks, let me know some things that you've experienced along the way. and tune in next time.